The purpose of this startup trip was to show the Frankies who they are by learning about the family that came before them and visiting the places they started up. Have you ever visited a place and felt like you're home? Sometimes we can feel a place is in our DNA just by the sense of belonging.
Our last day in England was spent on an 8-mile hike around the majestic Lake District.
Of our ancient fairy folklore here in Cumbria. If you're coming through inhabited woodlands that's inhabited by fairies, you're supposed to bring an offering of copper or silver to put into their fallen tree trunks. If you do that and you encounter a fairy, you'll be able to pass freely.
We saw lakes and waterfalls as we hiked through forests and farmland, taking in the perfect fall beauty all around us.
As we hiked through caves and learned about mining, Ruby reflected on her relatives that spent their time working in those conditions.
In my family history, you can find what your ancestors did for a living, what their occupation was. In mine, some are listed as being weavers and coal miners. Some of them may have worked in something similar like this.
Are we having fun yet?
I'm having fun.
Kevin and I are going to be doing the DNA kit. We picked up the DNA kit at the Roots Tech conference, and I never wanted to do the DNA. I never had an interest because I thought, oh, I know where my family comes from. What I did not realize was that I can take a DNA test, the same as my siblings, and all of us will come out with a different result. Step 1, activate your kit. Activate your kit on your computer or phone.
It's that code right there.
Okay. Enter your birth year. Would you like to receive text updates about the status of your DNA kit?
Now comes the fun part. This is the spit tube. Oh, my mouth is dry already.
Oh, I've got lipstick all over it. Does it take it off if it's lipstick? 5 seconds. Okay, so then you just put it in here. Put the bag in the box. I am so excited to get the results back for this. I seriously can't wait.
All right, now we just put this in the no box and we're done.
Did you hear everything pop? My elbow, my hip, my knee. Oh, we're getting old.
We said goodbye to England with gratitude for the role it played in all 4 of our lives and drove on to see the places and faces of Edinburgh, Scotland.
We're in Scotland!
We're interrupting our cemetery findings to do a custom kilt for Kevin. Yes. Yes. Yeah. So when are you planning on wearing this kilt?
Whenever I can.
While Kevin was buying a new outfit for church, We visited Edinburgh Castle and bought the Stewart family crest as a gift for Ruby and Kevin.
We're getting a printout of our crest, our family motto, and the history on it. King James VI was born in here. We just saw the birthplace of James VI, who is responsible for the King James version of the Bible. Mary, Queen of Scots, gave birth to him there. In this smallest room that's the size of my bathroom. And actually, it's the size of a hospital room. So that seems actually pretty appropriate. Just the views. I could see why they'd want to put a castle at the top of this hill, because the views all around are breathtaking. We're in our last few hours of Edinburgh. We stopped, we went and saw the castle. But I have to say, one of the most exciting places for me to visit was this street, because they say that this is the street that inspired Diagon Alley in Harry Potter. J.K. Rowling lived here when she wrote some of the series, so I wanted to see the Diagon Alley. And there's a Harry Potter store that I want to go in, because, you know, my family history includes a bunch of kids who love Harry Potter. Throughout this trip, Kevin has been so invested in learning about his royal line that every meal we were at, he was giving us a history of these people. I think Kevin would have been a better tour guide.
One of my great-grandmothers, Mary, Queen of Scots, lived here, and her son, James VI of Scotland, was raised and educated here, and then he came back later and built a couple more buildings here at Stirling Castle. That's the symbol of the king right there. So that's pretty cool.
It's a purse! A unicorn purse! He was obsessed with unicorns, and I didn't know that they represented purity until they're splattered all over the castle. So all of these are yours.
They're all family names.
We just did a tour around Stirling Castle, and looking out over this hill, it's amazing what you can see. You know, it gave a history of these kings and queens, but what's been fascinating is that this was a big part of Kevin's history. And had he not spent the last few days actually studying up on this, coming here couldn't have meant so much. I know that when you study your family and you find the places and then visit them, you will feel a connection, and it's almost this feeling of coming home. And I think that's what we saw a little bit with Kevin today as he looked around and was just, okay, a grandfather of mine was baptized here. A grandmother of mine lived here. It doesn't matter that it was hundreds of years ago, it was still a connection inside him. We visited Stirling Castle, then climbed the William Wallace Monument, the guardian of Scotland.
I think this story epitomizes the battle for good versus evil, and a people oppressed that were seeking freedom. And it's one of my favorite stories of all time, that you have a man like William Wallace that wasn't a noble. He just rallied his fellow countrymen in defiance of tyranny and the king, and fought for freedom and won. in Scotland is beautiful. You can see Edinburgh, but they said the Battle of Stirling Bridge was right here. There was a bridge over the water that collapsed when the English came to fight William Wallace and all of the local Scots.
From atop the monument, we could see Fife in the distance, Ruby's ancestral land and our next destination.
Tomorrow we're going to go over to County Fife, and that's where we're going to show Ruby where one of her great-great-great-great-grandfathers, Andrew Walker Heggie, is from. And that's what she's been most excited to come to Scotland and see on this family history startup trip. It's this beautiful area, and they say it's a kingdom within a kingdom.
Next up, we travel to Fife and Aberdeen, and Ruby finally learns of her third great-grandfather, Andrew Walker Heggie, in the land of her forefathers.
I have a surprise for you. This is one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen in my entire life. And it was terrifying.